Hi, I'm Larry Puckett, the DCC guy. Today I want to take a look at how you can make your own corrugated pipe. You know, it's great for use as loads in gondolas and the like, and you can also use it in ditches and on your model railroad as part of the scenery. So let's go ahead and take a look at how you can roll your own from plain old corrugated aluminum. Let's get started. Okay, before we get started, I want to ask you to take a second to subscribe. Click on the subscribe box, and when that comes up, click on the little bell right next to it and click all. So what I want to do today is show you how I go about making drain pipes out of aluminum foil that you can order from your Walthers dealer. I checked before doing this video, and Walthers does have this. Campbell Scale Models makes this in various sizes and scales. Also, I think it was K&S Engineering offers a couple of different versions of these materials. Plus, there were some others listed there, and you might find some in local hobby shops. The material I used was from a company called Williams Brothers. This was their number 60,000, and it was their old number 600 apparently. And I can't find these anymore. The name Williams Brothers is listed in Walthers on their website, but when you look up the materials there's supposed to be 68 items listed, but they didn't have any. So I really suspect that they're not making this anymore. But at any rate, like I said, if you do go to the Walthers website and look up corrugated aluminum or corrugated metal, you'll come up with a number of different sources for that. And you can go to your local hobby shop or Walthers dealer and order, whatever size you want, because it comes in scale, HOO, various sizes and the like. So you can find one that's going to be properly sized for your next project. Okay, so what do you use this for? Well, like I said, you can use these in gondola loads, and I make these up in various sizes. I don't have a lot available now, but you can make these. You can make a long section for use on in gondolas and in flat car loads, that kind of thing. You can have them brand new coming from the factory, or you can ding them up and throw some rust on them and toss them in a gondola like they're going to a scrap dealer. So those are a couple of things you can do as far as that goes. Now, as far as using them in drainage ditches, now, I'm sure that you've seen these everywhere along the right-of-way, railroad right-of-way, where there'll be a road crossing the tracks, and of course they have to put a drainage ditch or a drainage pipe underneath of that road where it crosses the ditch alongside of the right-of-way. And what I do is I just make these up in small lengths and then use those under the roads. You can actually make them up about that long, because that's about all you need. You just want to put it in there and, put a little plaster or whatever you're using for your road on top. And, you're not going to see what's behind it here, underneath of there. All you need is the part that is coming out. And I'll show you at the end of the video an area here on the Piedmont Southern where I did just that. Used a piece about that long and put one on each end of the road that crosses the ditch, and then just covered it with plaster and filled in between. Okay, so you don't need to make something this long in order to go underneath of a road. You can go with just a very short piece. Okay, so how do I go about making these? Well, it's very, very easy. I'm going to get these out of the way before I crush them, and we'll go about making one. Okay, so what you want to do is, first, you want to get any debris off of your workbench. I've got a drop of solder there that I need to pop off, because you don't want any indentations in your aluminum foil. Now, if you want, you can make your own if you have corrugated material that you can do a transfer rubbing pattern from. Plastruct makes corrugated roofing material in plastic, so you can actually take that and take some heavy-duty aluminum foil and actually rub it on top of that, place the foil on top of the corrugated plastic and then do a rubbing, and that will create the impressions that for the corrugations. But for the most part, I recommend using the commercially available stuff because it's much heavier. Even if you use the heavy-duty aluminum foil, Reynolds wrap, and the like, even that is really not heavy enough to be able to take a really good impression and stand up to the handling. Now, you might be able to find other sources that are a little bit thicker that can do that, but for what I do, I really like this approach here. Okay, so basically then, all this is a, I think it's 0.002 inches thick, and as I say, it's a fairly heavy aluminum, as you can see. It holds its shape quite well as I shake it up and down like this. So what I do with it is lay it out here, and then the next thing you want is a piece of 1/4-inch diameter plastic tubing. And you can pick this up at your hobby shop. It should be readily available there in the racks. And then what you want to do, I'm going to cut this down to make smaller pieces because I really don't need anything this big. Okay, so I'm just going to take this and lay it right here and get it lined up with one of the corrugations here and cut it about in half. There we go. So now I've got enough to make some nice some pipes. Now, let's go ahead and we'll take a look at how to go about doing this. Now, I lay out an old piece of rag on the surface that I'm going to work on. And this is pretty dirty, so it's seen a lot of work here. And then you just want to start working one end over the piece of tubing, okay? So we're just going to roll it over here. And don't bother trying to use tape. That won't work because it's going to be on the inside when you're done and you won't be able to get it loose. Okay, so you just want to start rolling it. And I'm keeping it on this piece of cloth to keep it from getting crushed. Okay, so you just want to go a little over 1 revolution. And then you can take your piece of cloth out of the way and holding it in place, I'm going to start and do one here first at one end. And then we'll go back the other direction. Okay. Then pop it loose. And while it's on there, roll it around a few times, like this, to get that seam pretty well flat, so that it's laying pretty well flat against the tube itself. Now, then all you have to do is pull your plastic tube out, and you have a brand new piece of pipe. Okay? Couldn't be any easier, really. Now, let's go ahead and I'll zoom in and we'll do that again. Okay. So I'm going to try it without the rag this time. That's a pretty scuzzy looking thing. Okay. Yeah. So you can just start that, rolling it over the edge there. It doesn't matter if this part is crushed because that's going to be on the inside. And then once you've got it started, hold it with your fingers and start rolling it. Okay. And line it up, try to keep it going straight, and then go around once. Okay. And as soon as you've passed over that, you can take it out and take a look and see where you are as far as the overlap, and that's got pretty good overlap. And lay it down flat, like so. And then cut one end loose, and then go back and cut the other end loose. And then just pop it off of there. If you've got any leftover little stray bits, Just cut that off. And then try to flatten it down on the bottom, because this seam is going to be down in any application that you use it in. If you're going to use it as a load in a gondola, you can just put that on the bottom. If it's in a ditch somewhere, you can put that on the bottom, and nobody's going to see it, okay? You don't have to worry about gluing it or anything, because this sucker is going to stay put. Okay, so that fast, we've made a couple of these, and they just look perfect, you know? It couldn't be any easier than that unless you go buy it at the hobby shop somewhere. Okay, so I think that's enough of that. We've seen how to do it. What I want to show you real quickly then is how you can make your own corrugated foil. And like I said, this is not the best and easiest method, but it will do it. Okay, so what I have here is an old piece of very thin material, and it has corrugations cut into it, okay? So it's probably basswood, and it's probably 50 or 60 years old at this point. And I think probably Northeastern scale models, or whatever they're going by now, still makes this kind of stuff. But like I said, you can get this in plastic from Plastruct, and maybe Evergreen might make it, and there might be some other companies that make this corrugated material in either wood or probably more likely available as plastic. So what you can do is just take that and lay this, and this is some of that heavy-duty aluminum foil, and then I have a smaller scrap of cloth right here that I'm going to put over this, and we're just going to emboss that by pressing it down. And what this does, it presses it down into the corrugations in the wood, or if you use styrene, that would do it. And you're creating the corrugated aluminum foil, okay? Now, it doesn't look as good as something that's made commercially with that heavy-duty foil, but, you know, it's not bad, actually. And if you can find a slightly heavier foil, that would be even better. And that's assuming you can't find the Campbell scale models. So, this is what I came out with, just from embossing that. And this can be used in exactly the same way, rolled around the 1/4-inch piece of tubing to create your pipe. And of course, for other scales, you know, you just change the size of the tubing and you order a slightly larger corrugations. And, you know, these others that I produced are made using this heavy-duty aluminum foil. So you can see it doesn't hold up anywhere near as well. This would be great for scrap. So I might take this, paint it with some rust and brown and ding it up a little bit more, you know, that kind of stuff, and use it for my gondola loads heading towards the scrap yard. So that's up, you know, this actually came out pretty good. You get better at this every time you do it, but it's not something I'm going to do a lot of, because I really do prefer to use this material here. And like I said, it's heavy enough so it takes and holds its shape a lot better. Okay, so I would recommend going with this material first over trying to make your own, because it just doesn't hold up that well. Okay, well, that's about it. So let's go ahead and move over to an area on the Piedmont Southern, and I'll show you an area where I used these corrugated pipe sections like this underneath of a road. I think this is a little bit better angle. This is the other side of the road, and you can see right here is the tip of that corrugated pipe coming out from underneath of the road itself. So this is right next to the tracks and the typical ditch that you see along these areas. And very often you will see cattails growing in those ditches. And so that's what I've shown here. Okay, so let me zoom out a little bit so you can get a better feeling for it. And there's the other side that I showed you first right here. So those sections of ditch pipe are only, about this long here and this long here, maybe an inch or so. And then the rest of it, it's just solid plaster underneath of that. So you don't need to make a whole, piece to cross the whole road, underneath the whole road there. You just need enough to show the very tip of the drain pipe sticking out from underneath of that road. There we go. Yeah, I think you can see it's sitting there in the water with a little bit of dirt on the top of it, but you can see the corrugations still fairly well. And it makes a very effective way of implying that, you've got water flowing through that ditch there. Okay, well, hopefully that gives you a better idea of how you can go about using these. Well, now you know the secret for how I go about making corrugated pipe like this for loads in gondolas and even on flat cars, properly bound up, and also for placement in ditches and drains and that kind of thing as part of the scenery work on your model railroad. So go ahead, it's a fairly simple, cheap, easy way to make loads like this and pipes like this, and it'll add a lot to your scenery. So pick up some at your hobby shop or order from your Walthers dealer and give it a try, just like I've shown you. So take it easy, and I'll be back next week with another video from the DCC guy. Bye now.